Turn it on and ready to go. Before we start talking, we got a little music here to set the mood. Let's do this. All right. There we go. We are live. Welcome to day 10 of our 21-day summit. We are Kate and Tanner Wendell, and join here. It's an honor to be here with good friends Frank and Cindy Sosin out of Florida, and we're really excited to hear your story. I know that you guys have been in the network marketing industry over 3 decades now. You've started, built, sold, given away 20 plus businesses in all sorts of industries, and you've been through the good times and the bad. So seems like a great time to learn from some very wise people. So we're just going to jump right in. I know your guys' story takes you back to the 80s in a trailer park when you first got introduced to network marketing, and I'd love to go back to that time and just understand, how did you get introduced to this industry, and why did you say yes? So take us back.
Lord, hey, it was easy to say yes. Because we were 2 kids, man, not knowing nothing about nothing, just got married. She was working at the Winn-Dixie, and I started plumbing. I was making $100 a week, and they raised our rent from $200 to $250 a week. Now we're going to pay the extra $50. And this was very simple, nothing fancy for us. It was a contractor I started doing some work for called me, said, "Hey, listen, I got a friend of mine. He's a multi-millionaire. He's going to be talking to us about making some money tonight. By the way, I owe you a little bit of money. I'll bring you a check." Well, let me tell you, that's a no-brainer. I mean, that's shooting fish in a barrel. I was showing up. I wanted to know what a millionaire looked like, and I needed that check. And so that was our first invitation to take a look at networking. I never got the check that night. He never gave me a check like he said he was. But we went that night, and didn't understand a lot, but what the dude was saying made sense to me. I tell people all the time, you don't have to figure everything out. If it makes sense, do it. If it doesn't, don't. And it's that simple. I think people overcomplicate everything, and the more you complicate it, I believe the least amount of money you'll make. You'll make less money the more you complicate it. And so we said yes that night, met my mentor that night, mine and Cindy's, and he changed our life over the next several years. That's my side of it. Babe, you tell him yours.
Yeah, what came to my mind is, and we don't really say this very often, but I just feel, like right now, I should tell, when Frank and I saw the business for the first time, I wasn't interested. I sat there and went, "Oh man, this is that pyramid thing." I was the negative one. And we don't really tell people that very often, because it really doesn't matter in today's, scope of things. But I was the one who was like, "I don't want to do this. I don't want to do any more than what I'm already doing." And I didn't even realize that. I probably didn't realize at the time, at 23 years old, that there was more to life than living in a trailer park. Does that make sense? So that's where I was. And then Frank was, he was more of the one who he was trying to get us out of the trailer park. And I'm just glad that I allowed him to influence me instead of him allowing me to influence him. Yeah. And, and so I want to talk to that person out there right now that maybe their husband or their wife has got a hold of this and they're not sure, why are we even looking at this? Why are we even trying to do this? Be the influence, not the influencer, if you're the negative one, because that was me. And I can admit to that. Let your spouse, do something with it, because if I had not of, listened to my husband and allowed him to be the dreamer and be the person who, saw us being in a different situation, and allowing his mind to be sorry about dust flying everywhere, allowed, our minds to be, broadened to something more than living in that little trailer park, in that little 12 by 50 mobile home that we were living in. And so, yeah, we were living there, and we had to borrow the money from my grandmother to even get moved in there. So that's where we started. But we, through hanging around, people who thought bigger than us, allowing ourselves to be coached and taught, and to become teachable and to become coachable, we started seeing things bigger. We started seeing that, life could be more than just where we stood. It doesn't matter where you are. I mean, you could be dead broke making $200,000 a year. It really doesn't matter. Broke is a place that you are because you're spending more money in a month than what you're making. But we allowed ourselves to get hooked up with a mentor, and we listened to that person. We didn't question that person or those persons. We didn't question, what they were telling us. They had the lifestyle that we wanted. And so we did what they told us to do. They had the lifestyle that we wanted financially. We did what they told us to do financially. And then later down the road, we started to understand mentorship, and we found people to mentor us in our marriage, and we found people to mentor us in our family, and in all areas of life. And so, that's where we were. That's where we started, and that's kind of how we got out of there.
That's amazing. I love that. And I saw a quote that I think is really apropos to what you said. I think, Frank, is that, have you ever noticed that the skeptical people are the broke people? And I think I like that, just keeping it simple and not questioning things, and having a grander vision and jumping in makes a lot of sense to me. So I'd love to know then from both of you, and maybe this is more applicable to you, Cindy, but when did you decide? Was there an event, a moment in time, a situation? Like, when did you decide that, like, okay, we're going to do this for a long time? Like, we see the vision, we're part of this, we're going to do this. Because it sounds like you weren't bought in from the beginning. I don't know, Frank, if on day one you were just going to run with it and go and never look back. But I'd love to know, from each of you, like, what was that moment where you decided we're in this industry for
well, once again, it was easy. It was simple for me. I've never overthought nothing. I tell people I had 2 brain cells, one waving bye-bye to the other when I got in. And so I didn't need any more. There wasn't enough up there to get confused. But, it's simple. He recommended us go to an event. Remember, we got in to make $50 a month. We wrote a check for $368 to get in. That was no good. I don't know if that was dumb or wise. I mean, you're trying to make $50, but then you write a check for $368. Doesn't make sense to me, but we did. So then he tells us there's an event coming up in 2 weeks, and you need to be there. And I says, well, don't look like it's going to be something we're going to be able to do. We ain't got a credit card, this, that, and the other. And he says, well, you tell me you want this, you want that. But when I tell you something, you always got a reason why you can't. So we went. My wife didn't want to go. We went. And for me, this was a massive, massive deal for me. We went to this big fancy hotel, 39 or 40 stories tall. We didn't know what bellmen were. We didn't know what valet parking was.
Yeah,
we went
in a big city. We're not from a big city,
yeah,
so
no,
like completely foreign to us.
Yeah. So we went, and we had trash bags for suitcases. And that weekend, got in an elevator, was scared to death, never seen a big elevator like this, had glass overlooking the side, and never seen a hotel like this. But we'd been listening to these tapes. And so a short guy gets in, and he says, He obviously knew I was scared. He said, Hoss. As soon as he said Hoss, I knew who he was because of the tapes that I'd been listening to for a couple of weeks. He says, I'm glad you're here. Well, man, I was glad to be there too. And I'll never forget it. He gets off the elevator and he slaps me like that. And he says, Hoss, make this your weekend. Why did that happen to us? Why were we the ones on that elevator with him? The event that we were at was his event. The event that we were at was his. I can sit here and tell you that the decision was made that weekend to never miss an event for me.
Yeah.
And 34 years later, I've missed one event. So to me, when you make a decision, when we really make a decision, why do we always negotiate with that decision? See, anytime you negotiate with your decision or you negotiate with your success, you're going to fail. I've never negotiated with that decision. That's mine. Hey, babe, you tell them yours.
Well,
uh-oh, we lost her.
yeah. Am I here?
Your picture's gone. There you are.
Sorry, I was trying to hit my mute button.
That's okay.
You know, I think that just like how people, it's a slow process at times for people to get themselves in a financial situation and to get themselves, you know, it's a process. It's a slow process. You know, you don't just want to just end up one day owing more at the end of the month than what you make. And it's the same thing in getting out of that situation. I believe it was a process for us. I know it was for me personally, but what Frank said is 150% accurate, is the fact that we changed our association. Instead of hanging around with people who didn't have more in life than what we had, we changed our association. We started putting ourselves in atmospheres that belief was being talked about, dreams were being talked about, positive things were being talked about, you know, not just woe is me and I'll never get out of this situation. But we started putting ourselves in a situation that made us think bigger than what we may have lived in that little 12 by 50 mobile home, but we put ourselves in situations to think outside of that box. And the way you do that is through the people that you hang around with, the things that you listen to, and the things that you read, or the information that you put inside. And we started adjusting that, guys. We just started adjusting, you know, instead of the woe is me, we started thinking about, okay, that glass is half full instead of half empty. Instead of being around people who were broke and couldn't rub two nickels together like we were, we started associating with people who may have been there at one time, but got themselves out of that situation, because we understood this principle. If one man can do it, so can another. We understood that principle. We had enough understanding of the word to understand that. And so we just started hanging around with the right people. We started hanging around with the right people, doing the right activities, to start looking at our situation differently. And that first event, I remember going there and being 20, in our young 20s, being scared to death, not knowing, not have ever been in that situation before, but going there and realizing that this is what I want for my life. I don't want what I currently have. I want something different. And that want, that need, that void, that desire of just having a little more, even a lot more than what you currently have, is a key to getting yourself out of the situation that you're in and go to the next level.
That's great. Yeah. And I think I just want to take the opportunity to thank you both for being mentors to us, near and far. And it was just a year ago when we first got introduced to you in Chicago. And sorry, we're not together this coming weekend here in St. Louis, but mentorship has been huge. You two have been very influential on our lives, even from a distance. And just really that feeding the dream and hearing your stories have really had an impact on us. So thank you for that. And that's it's good to know and know the power of events. We know the power of events. We met at an event. We wouldn't be together if we didn't start attending events. So we're certainly a testament to that. But I think that it's fair, at least from my perspective. I always want to be informed on both sides of the industry and the conversation, and so just spending a little bit of time on Google and looking up network marketing or MLM, it's not hard to find a lot of negative commentary around the industry. And one of the stats that's thrown around is, the majority, 90+% of people that get into the industry never make any money. And so I'd love to know, your guys' opinion on sort of the success rate and that statistic for this industry.
Well, I'll go first and Cindy can clean it up. She's best at it. I'm at my office today. I don't come into my office much, but I'm at my office today. And man, she's looking smoking hot even at the school working today. I ain't seen her since this morning. And but Daddy's coming.
Glad we could create the opportunity for you guys to see each other this afternoon.
Yeah. And so anyhow, I done got my mind sidetracked. But anyhow, so you know what? Here's the deal. Let's go ahead and let's take this up real quick. I'm going to hit a series of things. You can Google Coca-Cola. You can Google Pepsi. You can Google Budweiser. You can Google Disney. You can Google any of them. You're going to find a bunch of crap. Not everything on Google is true, period. Let's go ahead and get that straight. What's on Google is somebody's opinion. As you can tell, I get fired up with talking to because here's what I found out. I don't have time for stupidity. I don't deal with stupidity. I'm not good with that. Here's what I found out. 90% of everybody that does nothing I don't care what thing, 10% of the people make all the money. So 90% of people in any endeavor in life don't make any money. Now, let me ask you this. What's any money? Do you know, I'll tell you a story. We had some people years ago got into business. They were coal miners out of Kentucky. Okay. Now, if you go by that statistic, tell me about these groups. UPS wouldn't even deliver product. They'd drop it off by a stream and they have to come down a little mountain to get their stream. But all the men's teeth are gone, all rotten and gone from being in the coal mines. So all their wives and them had a dream to make enough money to get their teeth fixed. So we'd go back and forth to Kentucky once a month. They all got their teeth fixed and they quit. But that statistic that you just shared says they didn't make any money. No, they got exactly out of it exactly what they wanted to. To me, there are successfuls. My friend have made tens of millions and hundreds of millions of dollars because they got exactly what they wanted out of it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, makes a lot of sense.
So what I found out is that everybody that truly makes a real decision does not put their success in a time box, that gets hooked up with the right people, that's willing to be mentored, develop the skills, and stays consistent. Here's what I found out. They succeed 100% of the time. See, that's the facts.
You ready for me?
Let's do it.
Yeah.
I agree. Here's what I know. I agree with Frank 100%. You can Google anything out there. You're going to find good, bad, and ugly in anything that you Google. Because, like Frank said, it's a perspective. It's someone's opinion of something. I know this. There's a lot of people, unfortunately, who get in to a network marketing space. And unfortunately, someone puts them in who knows as little as they do as a brand new person. And they don't really know what to do with that person. And unfortunately, there's so many times that people get into a business like this, and we have the most wonderful products out there. They work, everything is, the comp plan is phenomenal, everything's perfect. I mean, it's a perfect storm. But if you don't know anything about it, and you don't have someone who's helping you through the process, and you don't have somewhere to plug them in to a read, listen, and participate system, then 90% of the time, it's going to be hard for that person to achieve anything good out of it, because they don't know what they're doing. If I gave you a job as a school teacher, and I threw you into a classroom, and I didn't give you any books to look at, or any materials to look at, or any information or videos or something for you to gain some knowledge, you would probably fail as an educator, I would imagine. But if I walked you through a process and gave you information and a curriculum and some guidance and a mentor and put you through a program, then your chances of becoming a good educator would rise, would be probable. And it's the same thing in this business. And that's what we have that is different than a lot of networking companies out there. We have a mentorship program. We have a school. We have a business school that we plug people in with hours and hours and hours of education and information and experience from people who have made it and who are successful in this industry, not successful in some other industry, and they just want to talk about this industry, but their success comes from this industry. So if you put a person into that situation, their chances of succeeding is much higher than someone who gets in who has no mentor, who has no information, no experience. Somebody, and so that's why it's very important when we put somebody in a business like this. And this is for all the new people out there, maybe the people who are just getting started. You have someone in your immediate PET upline that can help you and guide you through this process. And if we'll humble ourselves and we'll listen and we'll gain knowledge, so you can only gain experience through someone else's experience or your own experience, but wisdom uses somebody else's experience. And if we humble ourselves, and that's all Frank and I did, we were two kids. We had no idea what we had our hands on. We were just maybe naive enough, or just, I don't know, crazy.
Hungry.
Let's get hungry, as Les Brown said. Hungry. We were just going down
hungry.
the trailer park to listen to our upline. And so people who don't make it in this business, in this industry, and who are negative, really never got started in the first place, and they did not get started properly. Getting someone started in this business properly is the absolute most crucial time, within 24 to 48 hours, 36 hours at the max, getting people started properly, getting them on their road to success. And you do that through the business school.
Yeah.
And if you get people plugged in tight and get the right information, they're there, and help them go star maker, what the model is in this business, they're their chances of being successful is much, much higher. But they have to have a want. They have to have a void. They have to have a desire. They have to want more than what they currently have. But here's a key statement: be willing to do something about it.
Yeah.
And that's plugging into read, listen, and participate, plugging into the business school, plugging into the education, and getting the proper education and information so that they can be successful in this industry.
We really do have such an amazing team that we're all a part of. And as Tanner mentioned, how grateful we are for your mentorship. Rick Gutman, who's a part of our team and who leads the business school. There's so much connection there that we're so grateful for. Just to elaborate a little bit more, though, in your specific team and the people you're bringing in and working with, where do you feel is their biggest struggle as they get started? And as much as we've kind of touched on some of these things, but what is like, how do you work to overcome that for them and as they're working through that particular struggle?
Well,
You want me to go?
One is you teach them by showing, not telling. So many people are telling people what to do and they're not showing. And today social media is a blessing and a cursing, because here's the deal. You can't teach somebody what you've never done yourself. You can't teach somebody what you've never done yourself. We have so many people trying to teach people to do something they've never done. It's physically impossible. If I've never made $100,000, I can't teach you how. I don't know how. It's common sense. If I've never made $1 million, I can't teach you. I may be able to sound like it. I may be able to pronounce all the right words, put all the language out there, look as good and pretty. Obviously, you can tell I didn't groom up for this thing today. No, I'm just me at my office. Look, I'm in a pair of shorts. I got my feet kicked back there. And but this is me every day. See, that has nothing to do with winning. That has nothing to do with success. So you got to get to the real thing. And here it is. We got to quit telling and start teaching and showing. And so I believe very simply is this: if you ever want to do something big in anything, you got to have a system. Okay, there's 3 components that we teach that every successful business has. Every successful business. You have to have a business model. If this makes sense, say yes.
Yep.
Every business has to have a pattern of, okay.
Yeah.
And then every business has to have a system. Them are the 3 things we teach. Everything is around that. Okay. Because that's the 3 key components to have success and longevity in any business. So we have a process sheet. See, in our industry, duplication's the key. Okay. The simpler, the quicker it can be duplicated. The more complicated it is, the less it can be duplicated. So now let's think about this. So we have to have the understanding that wealth is made on the masses, not the few. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Wealth is made on the 98%, not the 2, 3, and 5%. So then I have to have a message and a language that the masses can understand. So why would I want my message to only be for this small when I want a big pond? So the process sheet is what does that. It's been proven. It's been tested for decades. It's how to get somebody started. And so if I got you started, Tanner, and I use that process sheet, the first 2 steps on that process sheet are the key. If I get you started with that process sheet, guess what? When you get somebody started, all you're going to know is how I got you started.
Right.
That's how the duplication process works. Not by what I've told you, but what I've showed you. Guess what? When you get Jimmy Bob started and you get him started with the process sheet and you work the process sheet with him, When he gets somebody started, Tanner, that's all he's going to know. Duplication is the key to success in what we do. So it has to be it has to be something that the masses can do. It has to be simple. And that's what the process sheet does.
Yeah.
That is the key.
Yep.
And what the process sheet does is it walks people through, number one, what are you going to get out of this business? What is your dream? What is your desire? What is it that you currently cannot obtain doing what you're currently doing? What more do you want out of life? Do you want a certain kind of car? Do you want a certain kind of house? Do you want to put your children in private education? Do you want to, pay cash for your kids to go to college? I mean, what is it? Do you want to pay off a bunch of bills? I mean, what is it that you want? Do you want to be debt free? What is it that you're looking for? What is it going to take a month to do that? And then it walks you through this what we have to do. We have to, we have to contact, invite, show the plan, and follow up. Those are the steps that it takes to get to your dreams and your goals. And then it also takes you to a place where you're going to start thinking about people without pre-qualifying them. You're just going to think, I ask people, what is it? Who is it that you could call right now? Or if they called you right now and they told you that they have a business opportunity that they'd like to share with you, that you would say, okay, let's sit down. That's who you want to start with. You want to start with your closest friends and your family and the people that you love and care about, that you want to help in this business. And see, we walk every single person through that process of showing them what to do by helping them do the activities that it takes to build this business. And then the second thing that we do, we always go through their list of names and help them sponsor 2 people and go star within 24 to 48 hours. So that those people, so now they're like, okay, because people don't do what you tell them to do. People do what you show them to do. And so what are they going to do? They're going to put somebody in. Guess what they're going to do? They're going to help those people go through the process of, okay, what do you want out of this? What are you willing to do to get that? What does that look like? And then let's start with your list of names, your contacts, so that we can start helping you go through the process. And we actually help people make phone calls and do the work to help them through the process of getting a couple of people sponsored. And that's how we get everybody sponsored.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, so one thing, I mentioned this in the intro, and I just want to double click on this question. You guys have been in, like I said, I think over 20 businesses, right, that you either run or have started and sold and given away. You're at the school right now, Cindy, that you guys own and run, and Frank, you're in probably one of your many offices. So I'd love to know, just a quick parallel, because I think people look at this industry and look at it as being so different from anything else, or let's just say traditional business. And I don't really think that's the case. But I'd just love to know, from your decades of experience, how do you compare this to the plumbing business, the school, or any other industry that you guys are in?
Can I go first this time? Can I go
Sure.
first? Then?
Yeah.
You know what? There's no comparison. And let me tell you why there's no comparison. I'm sitting in a building that I have to pay rent on every single month. I'm paying employees that I have to pay every, week. I'm having to match their taxes. I'm having to pay workers' comp insurance on them, liability insurance, all of those things. So there's no comparison. Why? Because in network marketing, I have none of those overheads. I have none of that overhead. The beautiful thing about network marketing that is so different than traditional business is that the company takes care of all that stuff for us. They take care of the warehousing the overhead and the employees and the insurances and all of those things that traditional businesses have it takes off your bottom line. And there's no comparison. That's why Frank and I've always done network marketing. It is the most beautiful model out there to make a pile of money with no exposure, no overhead, no employees, no trucks going up and down the highways. All right, you go ahead, baby.
Well, so when it comes to that side of the business, there is no comparison. Now let's talk about the dedication. Let's talk about the commitment. Let's talk about that. In anything, you have to dedicate yourself. There's no free lunches, Tanner. No free lunches. The difference is we have a leverage system here that we don't have in traditional business. So it goes off of Getty's principle. Would you rather have 100% of one man's efforts, or would you rather have 1% of 100 man's efforts?
1% of 100.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's the philosophy and principle of networking. But you know what? In every business, you got to have a book of business. If you don't have a book of business, you have no business. Now, guess what that is? That's your contact list. Every business, whether you're a realtor, whether you're a plumber, or whether you're an electrician or whatever, has a contact list. That's their list that they're going and communicating with to get more work. It's no different in networking. But it's amazing how they just freak out when, oh, I got to have a list. I don't know nobody. Guess what? They're broke in traditional business, and because you always have to have a list of new prospects to get more business. And if you don't always build your book of business, which is your prospect list, eventually you're going to have no business in any business you do. Do you see what I'm saying? It's amazing to me that you'll put a business person in, and they'll tell you, I don't know nobody. I don't want to contact somebody. When if they quit contacting people and developing a book of business for their business that they're in today, they'll eventually have no business. So all that's the same in any business that you do.
Right.
The difference is we leverage, and then what Cindy said is about there's no comparison financially. I mean, here's what's amazing. I had a guy about a month ago, Tanner, call me, maybe 6 weeks ago, and he was really, I'm just really not that excited about this. He's making about $100 to about $200 a week, $100, $150, $200 a week. So let's just say he was averaging $100 a week. And I said, really, you're not excited about that? Nah. He said, that's really not that big of a deal. I said, let me ask you this. I says, I got a house I want you to buy for $200,000. And you can rent it and be a rental property. Could you get excited about this? I said, absolutely. Now listen to the difference in the mindset. He said, absolutely. I said, why is that? He said, because I'm going to have an asset. I said, okay, let me walk you through that asset that you're going to have. So you're going to have a $200,000 asset. You're going to, when you rent it after you pay for everything, hopefully you're going to clear $300 to $400 a month. And about every time somebody moves out, you're going to have to repaint the house inside. You have to clean the carpets or steam clean the tile if there's no carpet. About every 7 years or whenever it's going to happen, 7 to 10 years, you're going to have to put a new air conditioner in. You just lost 3 to 4 years of your rent profit. And you're still going to have the $200,000 loose around your neck of that debt. But I just showed at $100 a month, a week, $100 a week, $400 a month in what we're doing is equivalent to an asset of a $200,000 real estate house. But you don't have the $200,000 debt around your neck. There's no comparison, Tanner. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's a great analogy of comparison. Yeah.
Yep.
And so just, you know what? So there's no comparison. If we can get you to 300 a week, you know what? That's $500,000 real estate rental.
Hmm.
If we can get you to 500 a week, you know, it's $1.5 million real estate deal. Come on, guys. But you don't have the debt structure over you. That's what people have to understand. You're building passive income.
Yeah. And that's really something that people just are not educated on. I want to coming back to our business school, how much we've learned to understand that, so that as we come in as a business owner now in network marketing, we understand these benefits, and that's definitely something that's not really shown and talked about in this industry. So I'm really, really, really happy that you brought that up, and something that's just so special and unique about our team. This industry has blessed our lives tremendously. Like we said earlier, we met because of this industry, and so much has changed because we work together in doing this. What would you say is the biggest impact that you've had in your lives since joining and saying yes and staying committed to being a part of network marketing?
Oh, goodness gracious.
I know. How do you pick one, right?
Well, here's what I'd say is this. One is my mentor led me to the Lord. Changed. I mean, you can't quantify the value of that. All the gold, if you had all the gold and silver in the world, all the money in the world does not stack up to that, in my opinion, for me personally. So I've got that. To take two kids come from the trailer park to having their freedom for 26 years. I said, how do you go from the trailer park to the Four Seasons, the Ritz-Carlton, and the Albany Club? The relationships that we've developed, our closest relationships, still to this day, have come from this industry. We are married today by the grace of God and from the industry because of the relationships and what this industry taught us. The principles and values that we build off of, that we live our lives off of, we learned through our mentors because they weren't one-dimensional. That's why me and my wife teach in the different dimensions that we teach. Lord, I mean, I could go on and go on. Babe, you say some things.
Yeah, I mean, exactly the same. And we came to know the Lord through this industry. I mean, it was an event. It was a weekend event, and they had a church service on Sunday. And that's why we always have church services on Sunday, because at our events, because we know there are people out there who maybe would never step foot into a church, into a local church or whatever. But that and the true friendships that we've developed, and the things that we've been taught, and exactly the same thing. This industry has added value to mine and Frank's life. And that's why we still do it today, because we know that there's no better platform to, help people in all areas of life, in their physical, their financial, their spiritual, their mental, their emotional lives. And someone did that for us. Someone gave us that gift, and we want to give that gift back.
Yeah. I mean, I very similar. Like you said, we met through this. I met the Lord last year, this time at that Chicago event, and it's been a journey that was a powerful experience for me there and in Orlando. And we were in a company before, and we didn't have any of that. So that's certainly something that I think is unique to our company and our culture, all the way up to the leadership of Dallin and the CEO. And I can say for me, much like Frank, that one thing alone, there's no price tag that can be put on that and the impact that's had on my life. And we're just getting started in this. So this has been such an honor, and it's just a real pleasure to spend time with you guys. And I'm glad that since we're not seeing you in St. Louis, we were able to do it this way. And I just want to leave it with a closing comment. We're living in interesting times here in April 2020, and I just love for each of you to just take a final comment here of anything that's on your heart that you feel like you want to share.
Two things. One is we're going to announce that our event coming up is going to be in July. It's going to be Ignite Your Future. It's going to be in Orlando, Florida.
Awesome.
The city where dreams come true. And so you're going to start seeing us promote that now. And this is what I want to say, that everything cycles and everything has rhythms. I've been saying it for 2.5 years. Something was coming. I didn't know it was going to be the Chronosaurus. I knew something was coming. I didn't know what it was. And how have you done through this? Because this will come to an end, but something else will come. It's just the way life is. And here's my question. If it's affected you this time, what are you going to do different so when it comes, and whatever comes next time, it doesn't affect you and your family? See, because me and my wife said yes all them years ago, and we stayed committed. We stayed engaged. I'm not bragging, but if it stays a year, 6 months, 6 years, praise the Lord, we're fine. I want people to have that peace. So if not this, what? If not now, when? I'll leave you with that. Go ahead, babe.
Yeah, I just want to encourage everyone. This is going to end, and I believe it's going to end sooner than later. And people are going to be looking. There's a lot of people out there that had their hopes and their beliefs in something that was ripped out from under them and not by their own doing. And we have something that will help any person who's walking this planet. And we need to talk to everyone because it's our duty to talk to people about this industry. Frank and I have been through 2 other really bad times in the U.S. market. And this is the 3rd time. And both times our network marketing business soared and our traditional businesses flatlined. And the same here. So here's the deal. We're coming out of this thing. Let's come out with ignited and ready to go. And we are going to be gathering together on the 19th. I want to kind of plug this. We're going to get a few folks together this weekend on Sunday, the 19th. I believe it's at 1:00, isn't it, Frank? Eastern. We'll have the information out, but we'd love to see. It's going to be a Zoom, and we'd love to see as many people as we can. We just want to encourage people and love on them a little bit. But hey, guys, guess what? We got our hands on the best business industry and thing out there, and let's go out. Let's give it away. We're just looking for people who are looking and who are willing to do something about it. So we appreciate you guys having us on, and I hope this has helped some folks. And let's go out and make the rest of 2020 a fantastic year.
Yeah, we really appreciate it. FrankSosanek.com, right? I think has some more information. They can see some videos of you two on there. And again, just thank you guys so much. This has been a real pleasure. We look forward to seeing you on Zoom this weekend and in person in July and somewhere on the internet in between here and there. So God bless you guys, and thank
Great
you so
to see
much
you
for all
guys.
you do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You
All
bet.
right, bye.
Bye-bye.